Hello, I am Bear, and today I'm going to be doing a overview of the enhancement system for DDO. This is not specifics of any given tree, this is just how do enhancements work in general in this game. To start with, for enhancements, you're going to want to hold Control and R, and that's going to open up your enhancement page. Other ways that you can get to this, you can go down here into the main menu and you can click on enhancements. I don't remember where it is. There it is. I never do it this way. I do it the other way. You can also go up to your trainer and talk to them about enhancements, although that's a little outdated for this point, but it is still an option. Now, most people, when they're new to this game, are going to open up this screen and be immediately overwhelmed with 1,000,001 different choices. We're going to talk about what all of them are and how they all work. The first thing is we're going to take a look at the bottom down here. Now, I'm currently an epic leveled character, so I'm actually working on a slightly different system, but it works basically the same way. You're going to see these little dots down here. This fifth one on the right tells you when you're going to get a level. Each of these tells you when you're going to get what's called a rank. Every rank gives you an action point. An action point is 1 point to spend anywhere in here. That means that there are going to be 4 action points per level, and there is a bonus 4 the moment you take level 20. So that means that by the time you hit level 20, you will have 80 total action points. Now you might be kind of looking around and noticing, yours says 86 spent. How did you do that if there's only 80 to get? There's a few extras that you can get, and we'll go into that later. First off, we're going to go with class enhancements. These are kind of usually the most important. So on my screen right now, we're looking at this one here, which is Dragon Lord, an archetype of fighter, and Enlightened Spirit, which is one of the trees for Warlock. Now, every class has at least 3 trees. So if I scroll down here, this one's empty. I'm going to put one in. If we go down here, Stalwart Defender is a fighter tree. Ravager is a fighter tree. I'm also a monk, so I've got 1 Shinto, 2 Ninja Spy, 3 Henshin Mystic. I'm also a Warlock, so I've got 1 Tainted Scholar, 2 Soul Eater, and 3 Enlightened Spirit. There are a few classes with more than 3. The best example is Sorcerer, which has 5, but most of them have exactly 3. A few of them used to have 2. That's no longer the case. Let's talk about minimum. So I'm actually going to take all of my points out of this Dragon Lord tree just to show off how it works. The first thing, it's being a little slow today. The first thing you're going to notice is I can't click anywhere in here, right? I'm clicking on this one, more action points needed. That doesn't mean I don't have enough, because I just had it. Of course I've got enough. I've got 37 sitting down here. I haven't unlocked this yet. So the first one you have to pick is always this bottom left one here, whatever it is. Then you see it's only opening up this first layer. That's going to stay true until I've spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And then this second layer is going to open up here. You'll notice at the same time this second one down here also opened up. These down here are called your core enhancements. The first one, level 1, no requirement of how many points you've spent. The second one, level 3, and you have to have spent 5 in this tree. So you notice nothing over here counts. If I had another fighter tree loaded, those would not count. Only 5 points in the tree. And level 3 in the class that your enhancement tree is from. So in this case, fighter. You're almost always going to take pretty much all of your cores, especially if it's an important class for you. Then you're going to notice up here, we'll go to the next one here. This one is level 6 in that class and 10 points in this tree. Then level 12 and 20 points in the tree. Level 18 and 30 points in the tree. Level 20 only in this class, that means no multi-classing allowed, and 40 points in the tree. With this one included, you'll note that's 41 points. If you only have 80, that means only one of these. Your last core enhancement is also referred to as a capstone, which is what most people are actually going to call it. Then we're going to go up into here. You're going to see these tiers here. So this first tier, if you spent this point, you can put points in this tier. Here, this one requires you to be level 2 in the class and have spent 5 points. So you'll notice it has the same spending requirement as this, but it only requires you to be level 2 in the class. So I'm going to put some points in across here. I'm going to finish this off. I'm going to get my next core, and then we're up to tier 3. Now it's going to follow the same pattern, but you might not have picked up that it's a pattern yet. These are going to require 10 points, so 1, 5, 10, and they're going to require you to be fighter level 3, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to go across here really quick. I'm going to pick up my enhancements. And then here, we're at 21 points. You'll notice this is opened up. If you've been following the pattern at this point, you should know fighter level 4, 20 points in the tree is the requirement. I'm once again going to go down here. I'm going to pick up this core. And now we've opened up 30. Now here, I'm going to grab this core, but this top level up here is different from the other levels. If you notice in this tree next to it that has this level up here, I could put a point here, or I could put a point here, and hey, I could probably do both, right? Because I can be in multiple trees. Not for tier 5. So you're going to notice something is going to happen the moment I click on one of these. So I'm going to start right here. I click on it, and gone. Completely removed. You can't take any of these. This is just a bug. You can't also have this. And then what you're going to do is usually you're going to take all of these. Not always. Some of the builds don't. But these are minimum level in the class 5, minimum points in the tree 30, but they come with one other caveat, which is you have to be total character level 12 to invest in it. So it doesn't matter if I'm fighter level 5, wizard level 7, I have access to those tier 5 fighter enhancements. But if I'm fighter level 11, okay, I've got enough fighter levels, but I'm not level 12, so I can't have them yet. Okay? That is class enhancements overview. Next up, we're going to go to racial enhancement. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more thing for class enhancements. That one more thing is archetypes. When you're dealing with an archetype, this character is actually a perfect example. I'm going to accept this. You're going to notice I've got this one called Dragon Lord. Those of you who have played a regular fighter are going to go, what is Dragon Lord? I don't have that option. Where did you get this? Where is your Kensai tree? Why don't you have that? Why do you only have Stalwart Defender and Vanguard? Well, the answer is archetypes. Archetypes are a special variant of a class, and one of the core mechanics that they do is they replace certain trees. In the case of Dragon Lord, it replaces the Kensai tree with the brand new Dragon Lord tree, and it's actually extra special. It also replaces Vanguard. You're going to notice I'm going to go through here. No Vanguard, but I've got this here, Ravager Fighter. Those of you who have a little bit of game knowledge might go, Ravager's a barbarian tree. It's also a Dragon Lord tree, and that's very unique for them. So if you're playing an archetype, be aware you might have access to different enhancements than the core class. Next up, we're going to talk about racial enhancements. Racial enhancements are very similar, but they have a few key differences. The most obvious one is there is no racial tier 5. Your primary defining characteristic is never your race. It's always something in one of these other categories over here. There can be very good stuff in this tree. For example, in the Shadar Kai tree, they get these really fun chains that you can whip around. And there's also things like Purple Dragon Knights that can use charisma for a whole bunch of different weapon kinds. Or Warforged, who can cast Reconstruction to heal themselves as a paladin, using a wizard spell to do it. But they do not have tier 5. So it may become important to your build, but it will never be your kind of critical focus. You're also going to notice no capstone. Same idea. However, cores work very differently here. I'm going to reset this tree. I'm going to click on this one because, it's the first one. You've always got to do the first one. And then this opened up right away, the second core. If we go back to classes, the second core is fighter level 3, 5 action points in the tree. But if we come back here, I spent 1 action point, and this is open. Well, that's because it only requires you to be level 4 to take the second core. Then we're going to come over here, and we're going to go, what does this require? Oh, only level 7. It doesn't require you be a higher level. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go, what does this require? This requires level 11. And this last one requires level 16. They don't require any other points in the tree other than the previous cores. Then we're going to get up in here. These work exactly the same way as the class ones do. The only difference is you're not talking about a class anymore, right? We now have 5 points in tree. We don't have that second level fighter because this is a human. This is not a class. You can't take levels in human. So I'm going to put a point here, I'm going to put another point here, and then you notice just like the other one, I've spent 5 action points, and the second tier opens. It will continue all the way up that way. Moving on from that, there's one more thing to keep in mind about racial AP, which is, if you come down here, 0 racial. You will get bonus racial-only action points for different things you do in the game. There are tomes, which are special rare bonus items, many of which you can buy, some of which come from pre-orders, but most of which you can just find in chests randomly if you just get lucky. That will give you bonus action points that can only be spent on races. There's also something called racial past lives. If you get 3 past lives on the same race, you get 1 permanent free action point. That means that you can potentially get, starting out the game, upwards of 10 action points. So you can get much more than that, but just for your reference, you can start the game with 10 points. They just all have to come out of the racial tree. Moving on from that, we're going to go to iconic enhancements. Iconic enhancements are just racial enhancements, but for iconic characters. Iconic characters have a race that is a variant of a main race. Actually, all 3 of the ones that I mentioned for having really cool abilities earlier on, the reconstruction for the Warforged, the chains for the Xen'Drik Kai, and the charisma for the Purple Dragon Knight are actually from Iconics. They have similar abilities to the basic version of the race. So Blade Forged has similar to Warforged, Purple Dragon Knight is similar to human, Xen'Drik Kai is similar to human, but they have key differences, which are often kind of big defining things that they do that really help establish their identity as separate from the regular version. They work the same way. There's no meaningful difference. Just be aware that just because a Xen'Drik Kai kind of is a human doesn't mean they're going to have regular human enhancements. They're going to have Xen'Drik Kai enhancements. Next up is universal enhancements. That's what this Vistani knife fighter is in here. How this works is it's literally exactly the same mechanics as something like your Dragon Lord or your Enlightened Spirit or any of the other class trees. The only difference is it doesn't specify level 20 fighter. It specifies level 20. So it doesn't care what class you are. You can always take these if you have them unlocked, and many of them are extremely powerful. They are builds unto themselves that you can build on any class or multi-class because the things that they use are in this universal tree. Just like this class tree, you have to take this first, and then level 3, 5 points, level 6, 10 points, level 12, 20 points, level 18, 30 points, level 20, 40 points, right? Tier 1, you just got to take that entry core. Tier 2, Level 2, 5 points. Level 3, 10 points. Level 4, 20 points. And then we get this one up here, which is actually level 12, again, just like this one is, and 30 points spent in the tree. Just like racial AP, you can get a bonus to universal action points. There are not nearly as many to acquire, but they exist. And again, those can only be spent in those universal trees. So right now, Vistani Knife Fighter is 1, but if I come down here and I go through here, you see how this one here, Falconry, it went away. This one here, Falconry, it doesn't have a class next to it. It's a universal tree. It doesn't care what class you are. You can always be a Falconer. Same thing, Inquisitive, no class. You can always be an Inquisitive. Horizon Walker, universal. Shintao, oh, it says Monk next to it. I can't do that unless I'm a monk. Fadark Illusionist, also a universal. Harper Agent, also a universal. These are unlockable in the game for the most part. You don't necessarily need to buy them, but you won't just start with all of them. You need to go acquire them. They will persist through things like TRs, so if you unlock them and you TR your character, you will still have access to them. The last and absolutely weirdest kind of enhancement is the bonus tree. There is only one of these in the entire game, and it is not for this character. It is only for elves, and it is Arcane Archer. By spending a whole bunch of points in the elf enhancement tree, you can unlock the Ranger class's Arcane Archer tree on any class. The only weird thing about it, though, is that they have a reduced progression rate on the cores, meaning like you can't actually take the capstone until level 22, right? You're a little bit delayed, whereas the Ranger could have taken it at 20. It's slightly worse. It costs a lot to get into it, but it does exist, and I did want to include it because it is a mechanic involved in enhancements, and it is related. With that said, thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you understand a little bit better how enhancements work in DDO. Let me know if there are any specific topics that you'd like to see covered. If not, videos will keep coming about the topics that I see people struggling with. Thank you, and have a good day.